Okay, I met Rita downtown East Dubuque one day, and she said, "I'm looking for a bartender. Are you willing to learn?" And I said, "Yeah." So I went to work for Herbie Snee for probably about 2 or 3 years, and then it got to be old, and I quit. And the guy that owned the Morocco saw me. He works at the Pack also, and he said, "Well, you be willing to come work up there?" So I did. I worked at the Morocco for probably another 2, 3, 4 years, and then a guy.
Who owned it then?
Huh?
The Morocco. Do you remember who owned it then?
Yeah, Hillary, Bert and Hazel Hillary.
Okay.
They owned it, and I worked for them. And then being it was closer, a guy built this Fred Supper Club up here, and he asked me if I'd go work for him, and a little more money, and that's what I did. And because it was close, and I worked there for him until he sold it to a guy by the name of Jim Degenhardt. And Jim Degenhardt bought it, and I stayed working for him. And his business went sour. Just not enough to hire me. So then they had a Red Top Supper Club up there. He asked me if I'd go work for him. So I worked for him at the Red Top for a couple, 3 years, and then the guy by the name of Dave Schomeyer, or Dave Lightfried, bought the supper club, and he asked me to go work for him, so I did.
Which supper club was that?
At that time it was called the Country Heights. That's what they changed the name.
Okay.
And I worked for him at the Country Heights for probably there's always 4 or 5 years, and then I ran over my foot with a lawnmower, so I did bartend for a while, and then
When was that about? How old were you, would you say?
this was probably in the 80s, I think, probably.
So you were kind of in demand as a bartender, it sounds like.
Yeah, I always prided myself. So then when I got my foot healed up, the guy by the name of Brian Christ opened up the supper club up there, and he asked me to go work for him. So I worked for him.
Which club was that?
That's the present is Bittersweet. It was called Brian's, and then he built a new place, and I went for work for him at the Bittersweet, and then that was actually 91, and then Bob Keel came in town with the Casino Bell, and he asked me to go work for him because I was thinking about retiring. So I quit the Pack, retired from the Pack, and went for Bob Keel for 4.5 years until he sold the boat. And then I went to work at the Bittersweet for 4.5 years when Brian Chris sold it, and they changed the name to the Bittersweet, so I worked there. And then she sold it, so then I left, and the guy wanted me to go work for him at Country Heights, so I worked at Country Heights.
You've been there for about 17 years.
Yeah, huh?
Sounds like I heard you were there about 17 years.
Yeah. Well, that's the present, because Dave Lightfried had it when I went to work there. But I worked for Dave for probably about 4 months, and he sold it. And then these people bought it, and I worked there for 17 years.
Huh.
I worked Fridays and Saturdays, and basically that's it. Filled in now and then. But
I think a lot of people will remember a lot of those names.
yeah.